Hello friends, welcome to AIMS Today YouTube channel. Here we are going to discuss about IIT JNET Foundation Chemistry periodic table chapter. From this, let us see the earlier attempts for the classification of elements. First of all, what is the need for classification of elements? In the beginning of 18th century, only few elements were known and hence it was easy to remember the properties of these elements individually. But by the discovery of new elements, which is presently around 118 elements, it is very difficult to remember their properties individually. Thus, it was felt the need of some simple method to simplify and systemize the study of properties of various elements and their compounds. This necessity led to the classification of various elements into groups and periods. So, by the classification of elements, there are some advantages. They are to study the elements in a systematic manner, to correlate the properties of elements with other elements, to know the type of different compounds that different elements can form. So now let us see the earlier attempts for classification of these elements. Earlier, many attempts were made to classify the elements for better understanding. Now let us see some important attempts among them. First among them is Lavoisier's classification into metals and non-metals. By the late 1860s, Lavoisier classified the elements based on the similar physical and chemical properties into metals and non-metals. Here metals means an element which has the properties like luster, good conductor of heat and electricity, ductile, malleable, solid at room temperature, and has tendency to lose one or more electrons is classified as metal. Example, iron, copper, zinc, etc. We can say these all are metals. And next, non-metals. An element which has the properties like no luster, bad conductor of heat and electricity, non-ductile, non-malleable, and has tendency to gain one or more electrons is classified as non-metal. So even though it is classified, there are some reasons for rejection of these metals and non-metals. Let us see those here. One of them is the elements were divided only into two broad categories, which does not help much in the study of these elements. Second one is there are some elements which have the properties of metals as well as non-metals. Such elements are known as metalloids. So there is no separate categorization for these metalloids in the Lavoisier's classification. Examples for these metalloids are here shown here: boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, tellurium, polonium, and astatine. These are all the metalloids. For these, there is no separate categorization by Lavoisier. So this is one of the reasons to reject this. Next classification was done by de Bruijner, that we say as de Bruijner's law of triads. In 1817, de Bruijner classified the elements into groups of three elements, such that the three elements had similar properties, and the atomic mass of the middle element was the arithmetic mean of the atomic masses of first and third elements. The group of such three elements was called as de Bruijner's triad. For example, lithium, sodium, potassium is a de Bruijner's triad. In this, the atomic mass of middle element sodium is equal to the atomic masses of or arithmetic mean of the atomic masses of first and third elements lithium and potassium. In this way, these three elements are arranged which are having same chemical properties, and he called this as one of the triads. Some other examples for the de Bruijner's triads are chlorine, bromine, iodine is one set, calcium, strontium, barium, and sulfur, selenium, and tellurium. Here also there are some drawbacks or disadvantages in this de Bruijner's triads. One of them is the main drawback of this classification was that the concept was not applicable to all the known elements at the time, but only to a limited number of elements. Hence the law is rejected. However, one point became clear that properties of the elements have some relationship with their atomic masses. Next classification was done by Newland, that we say as Newland's law of octaves. John Newland, an English scientist in 1866, arranged about 56 elements known at the time in order of increasing atomic masses. According to Newland's law of octaves, when elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses, there is a repetition of the properties of every eighth element as compared to the given element. As there are 7 musical notes according to Indian system, as we know, these musical notes are sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da and ni. In the musical notes, there is a repetition of the same note after a gap of 7. By coincidence, Newland found the same pattern in the arrangement of elements also. These elements placed in the same vertical row, also known as a group, have common properties. The elements, for example, the elements beryllium, magnesium and calcium are grouped on the similar basis and they resemble their chemical characteristics. But even there are some drawbacks in this Newland's classification also. Let us see them. One of them is this law could be best applied only up to the element calcium. That means it is limited for few elements. He couldn't classify all the available elements at the time. Second one is newly discovered elements could not fit into the octave structure. For example, noble gases. After the discovery of noble gases, this Newland's octave system was failed. It failed to exhibit this feature with heavier elements. Next classification was done by Mendeleev, that is as Mendeleev's periodic table. Now, this was the most successful attempt among all the earlier attempts at classification of these elements. In fact, Dmitry Mendeleev is known as the father of the periodic table because the first periodic table was given by him. He had noticed a relation between the atomic masses of elements and their physical and chemical properties. He observed that there was a periodic reoccurrence of elements with similar properties. So Mendeleev arranged these elements in a grid that we today know as a periodic table. Mendeleev stated that properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses, and this came to be known as periodic law, that is as Mendeleev's periodic law. One of the most successful aspects of this Mendeleev's table was that he was able to predict the unknown elements more or less accurately. He named them as Eka boron, Eka aluminum and Eka silicon. Later to him, they were named as Eka boron was named as scandium, Eka aluminum as gallium and Eka silicon as germanium. Mendeleev's periodic table simplified the study of elements. It became useful in studying and remembering the properties of a large number of elements in a simple way. So here you can see the Mendeleev's periodic table. In this way, he arranged the elements in the increasing order of their atomic masses and the elements which are showing their resemblance in their chemical properties kept in one column, and he called this as one group. So the vertical columns are called as groups and these horizontal rows are called as periods. In this way, he was the first scientist who was able to fit all the available elements at the time into a table called periodic table. Despite its success, there was still a few shortfalls in the Mendeleev's periodic table. Firstly, he failed to place the hydrogen correctly on this periodic table. Hydrogen exhibits the properties of both alkali metals as well as those of halogens. So, to assign it to one position was difficult. Also, isotopes of elements were proving to be a problem. They would occupy multiple positions on the periodic table since all their atomic masses are being different. Instead of above limitations, Mendeleev's periodic table was the best classification of the elements and proved a milestone in the field of chemistry. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for receiving latest updates.